My girlfriend posted, when he finally proposes, but you've already been planning to leave him as a joke the day after I proposed. I commented, joke's on me then. Then I returned the $11,000 ring and sent her the refund receipt. I, 34 male, am an electrical engineer. Not impulsive, not dramatic, not the kind of guy who makes big moves without thinking them through. I mentioned that because what I'm about to describe is going to sound like I overreacted, and I want you to understand up front, I didn't. My girlfriend and I met at a mutual friend's housewarming about 3 years before any of this happened. She was funny, quick, the kind of person who could hold a room without trying. We clicked fast. 6 months in, we were exclusive. A year in, she was basically living at my place. I owned the apartment, my name on the deed, my mortgage. She contributed what she called her share, which averaged out to about $200 a month toward groceries. I covered everything else. Mortgage, utilities, subscriptions, dinners, trips. I didn't keep a running tab because I loved her, and I figured we were building something together. There were signs. There are always signs. She'd joke about her options during arguments, not viciously, just casually, like she wanted me to know the door existed. She'd come back from weekends with her friend group acting distant, like she'd been comparing notes on her life and mine had come up short. About 8 months, and I noticed a dating app on her phone. She said it was old, forgotten, never deleted. I believed her because I wanted to. When you're in it, red flags don't look red. They look like quirks, like rough patches, like things you work through. I proposed on a Saturday evening in March. Booked a rooftop at a restaurant we loved. Got her closest friend in on it to make sure the timing landed right. She cried. She said yes. She hugged me so hard I actually laughed. We stayed out until 2 a.m., and I went to bed that night, completely sure I'd gotten something right for once. Sunday morning. She's still asleep. I'm on the couch with coffee, scrolling my phone out of pure habit. A notification pops up. Not her phone, mine. I'd been tagged in something. Her post. She'd shared one of those meme graphics. Bold white text over stock photo. It said, when he finally proposes, but you've already been planning to leave him. Her caption, LMAO no, but seriously loudly crying face joke. 34 people had already liked it. Her cousin had commented girl in all caps. For other people had left laughing emojis. I stared at it until my coffee went cold. Then I commented, joke's on me then. I put my phone down, finished the coffee, showered, got dressed, and drove to the jewelry store. The ring was $11,000. I put $3,200 down and financed the rest. I had the receipt, the original box, and every document. Their return policy allowed full refunds within 30 days for unworn rings. The ring had been on her finger for less than 14 hours and was in perfect condition. The jeweler looked at the ring, looked at me, and didn't ask a single question. I think he'd seen this before. The $3,200 came back to my card on the spot. The finance portion was confirmed canceled within 3 to 5 business days. They emailed me a receipt. I forwarded that receipt to her with 0 words of explanation. By the time I got home, she was awake, sitting at the kitchen counter, phone in hand, face pale. What is this? She said, holding up the forwarded email. A receipt. You returned the ring. I did. Because of a joke. I looked at her. Was it? She didn't answer right away. That pause told me more than anything she could have said. Then she shifted, fast, into damage control. Watching someone you love recalibrate their strategy in real time is one of the most clarifying things you'll ever experience. First came the tears. Genuine shock, I think, that I'd actually acted instead of absorbed. You didn't even talk to me first. You just return it like I'm nothing. You posted it publicly. I said, 34 people liked it before I even saw it. It was a meme. People post things they don't mean. You captioned it. No, but seriously. That landed. She wiped her eyes and switched angles. I've been stressed. My friend has been going through stuff, and I've been hearing all these stories about guys who wait forever to commit, and I just posted something dumb without thinking. What's your friend going through? I asked. She blinked. What? You said your friend has been going through stuff. What stuff? She didn't have an answer because it had nothing to do with her friend. Then came the escalation. She went to the bedroom, and I heard her talking low. 20 minutes later, her mother called me. "Honey," she's devastated. "You're overreacting to a social media post. You need to go get that ring back." "I appreciate you calling," I said, "but this is between us." Her mother did not appreciate that. Over the next 48 hours, she ran through every play. She apologized, specifically tearfully with real detail. When that didn't move me, she went cold and said I was punishing her for a joke. Then she got her friend group involved, and suddenly I was getting texts from numbers I barely recognized telling me I was being dramatic, controlling, that no woman wants a man who can't take a joke. Her best friend texted me directly. "She's been with you for 3 years. You're really going to blow it up over a meme?" I replied she was planning to leave. Her words, not mine. No response. I want to tell you about the moment the whole thing cracked open, because it wasn't anything I went looking for. Her cousin, the one who commented girl on the post, accidentally texted me instead of my girlfriend. It was clearly meant for her. It said, "Did he see the other stuff too, or just the post?" I called the cousin immediately. She picked up thinking it was my girlfriend. When she realized it was me, she went quiet for a long moment. "What other stuff?" I said. "I shouldn't have said anything." "You already did." Another pause. Then, quietly, she matched with someone on Hinge about 2 months ago. They'd been talking. I told her to end it before you proposed, but she said it wasn't serious. I thanked her and hung up. I sat in a grocery store parking lot for about 20 minutes, not falling apart, just recalibrating. The way you do when a theory you didn't want to be true turns out to be exactly true. When I got home, she was on the couch. She looked up and read something in my face immediately. "What happened?" "Who's the guy on Hinge?" Every bit of color left her face. "Your cousin texted the wrong person," I said. What followed was an hour of the most exhausting conversation I've ever had. Yes, she'd matched with someone. Yes, they'd been texting. She swore nothing physical happened. "It was emotional," she said, like that framing was supposed to help. She'd been confused. She hadn't been sure about us. She'd been figuring things out. While living in my apartment, I said, while I was buying a ring, "I know how it sounds. It sounds like what it is." She cried again. I didn't move toward her. "I love you," she said. "I got scared. I self-sabotage. That's what I do. But I want this. I want us." Part of me wanted to believe her. 3 years. Real memories. I'm not going to pretend that part of me wasn't there, because it was, but I kept coming back to that text. Did he see the other stuff too, or just a post? Other stuff. Plural. What else is there? I said. She looked down. It wasn't a question anymore. Here's what the cousin eventually told me. And she came forward on her own, because by that point she felt genuinely guilty about all of it. My girlfriend had been venting to her friend group about me for months. Not normal venting, detailed, specific, and ugly. She'd told them the relationship was basically over as far back as November. She'd told them she was just waiting for the right time to leave. She'd screenshot our arguments, stripped them of any context, and shared them in a group chat, so her friends could validate her. The cousin sent me the screenshots. In one message from December, 3 months before proposal, my girlfriend had written, "He's probably going to propose soon, and I literally don't know what to do. Part of me thinks I should just say yes and figure it out later." Figure it out later. I put my phone down and looked at her. "You need to find somewhere else to stay," I said. What happened next is when I realized I wasn't just dealing with someone who'd made a mistake. I was dealing with someone who, when backed into a corner, got calculated. She didn't leave that night. She closed herself in the bedroom, and by morning she apparently decided that the best defense was a coordinated offense on every front simultaneously. First move, she called my landlord. I own the property. My name on the deed, no lease between us, no rental agreement, nothing in writing. She told him she was concerned about her safety and asked about tenant rights. The landlord called me within the hour. I called a real estate attorney that same afternoon. The attorney was straightforward. in our state, because she wasn't on any lease, wasn't on the deed, and had no formal rental agreement. She was classified as a licensee, not a tenant. I could ask her to leave with reasonable notice. We went with 30 days, documented and delivered in writing, to keep everything clean. If she refused to leave after 30 days, we'd file for formal removal through the courts. She also mentioned through the cousin that she was considering claiming common law marriage. My attorney shut that down in about 30 seconds. Our state abolished common law marriage decades ago. She had no legal claim to the property and no claim to any shared assets. Second move, she went to my parents' house, drove there without telling me, sat in their living room, and gave my mother her version of events, heavy on my emotional unavailability, light on every relevant detail. My mother listened politely, then called me. She came here. My mother said, "I know. What did she tell you?" I walked my mother through all of it. The post, the Hinge guy, the group chat, the December message. My mother was quiet for a moment. I'll let her know this isn't the right way to handle things. She did. My girlfriend didn't go back. Third move, she contacted a guy I knew at work. Not a close friend, just a mutual connection I'd introduce her to at a company event. She reached out to him, told him I blindsided her, and kicked her out after proposing, left out every single relevant detail, and apparently hoped he'd apply some social pressure on me at the office. He pulled me aside to check in. I told him the full story in about 4 minutes and showed him the December screenshot. He said, "Okay, I'll mind my business," and never brought up again. Fourth move, and this one genuinely caught me off guard. She called the jewelry store. She identified herself as my fiancé and asked whether the return could be reversed. The store told her they couldn't discuss another customer's transaction. She pushed. They declined. She called back and got a different employee, this time claiming she was calling on my behalf. The store manager called me directly to flag it. I thanked him, confirmed the return stood, and wrote myself a time-stamped note documenting the call. She was running pressure on every front: legal, family, professional, financial, and the strategy was obvious. If enough people were in her corner, if I felt isolated enough, maybe I'd fold. Maybe I'd decide it wasn't worth it and take her back. What she miscalculated is that I'm an engineer. I don't make decisions under pressure. I make them with data. And by this point, I had more data than I needed. While she was running her campaign, I was quiet. I went to work. I came home. I was civil when she was present. I didn't argue, didn't escalate, didn't give her anything to use. I documented everything. Every incident, every third-party contact. Timestamp notes saved to a cloud folder. Then around day 18 of the 30-day notice, I found something by accident. I was going through a jacket pocket and found a hotel receipt. A nice hotel. The date on it was a Saturday in January. The same Saturday she'd told me she was visiting her sick aunt 2 states away. I'd offered to come with her. She'd said no. Her aunt was contagious. Just a quick trip. She'd be back Sunday. The hotel was 40 minutes from our apartment. I went back to the cousin with one direct question. She confirmed it. The Hinge guy wasn't just texting. January wasn't a one-time thing. It had been ongoing since October. 5 months, running right to the holidays, right through the period when I was shopping for the ring. I hadn't been in a complicated relationship that was figuring itself out. I had been cheated on in my own home by someone I was paying for while I was planning to propose. I want to be honest about what I felt in that moment. It wasn't the explosive kind of anger. It was something colder and quieter. The feeling of a very complicated situation becoming very, very simple. Here's what I did. The screenshots a cousin had sent me, the group chat messages, the December message about saying yes and figuring out later, I compiled them into a clean PDF with dates. I sent it to her mother. No anger in the message. Just one line. "You called me asking me to get the ring back. I thought you should have complete information before making any more calls on her behalf." Her mother never contacted me again. The mutual contact at work. I didn't do anything. Didn't need to. The timeline she'd fed him didn't hold up once people who knew us both started comparing notes. Her version fell apart on its own within a couple of weeks. She had been on my family's cell phone plan for about 16 months. $40 a month, added at her request. The day she moved out, I called the carrier and removed her line. Standard account holder action. No notice required. Her phone cut out in the middle of what I was told. Secondhand, through the cousin, was a call to the Hinge guy. She moved out on day 29, one day before the formal deadline, with help from her mother. My attorney had the removal paperwork ready. It wasn't needed. 3 weeks later, she texted me from a new number. It was long. It talked about growth and accountability and how she hoped I'd find peace. It ended with a line about hoping we could eventually be friends. I read it once. Didn't respond. Not out of anger. I was just done. I used a ring refund to pay off a credit card and put the remainder toward the mortgage. The rooftop restaurant refunded part of my deposit when I explained the event was canceled. Turns out they have a policy for that. The ring was gone. The plan was gone. 3 years gone. But everything that was left was actually mine.